So I'm going to talk about individuation, which is the fourth law of Haela. This mostly has to do with creation through the unconscious, and it's a very mysterious I guess maybe obviously it's a very mysterious thing. The way I like to think about it is time is flowing forward in a way, but it's also flowing backwards. And like a human being experiences a kind of rift between a forward motion of time as one like ages and lives sort of consciously in the world. Like the time of consciousness is headed forward, and the past is unchangeable and the future is open. But in the realm of the unconscious, time is moving in the other direction, and there is some kind of crystallization that is destined, that is sort of animating one's life. And you ultimately have, in a way, no choice but to be driven to cause a kind of unique materialization to unfold through your, I guess, creative efforts. And but the degree to which that will actually be rendered through your life that's sort of up to chance, or that's up to some mix of chance and free will. It's not clear that what you're driven to do will definitely come to pass, but that push within will always be there. And a major aspect of the meaning of life is to allow it to happen, to unfold. And so sovereignty was what we talked about yesterday, and that was about, I guess, sort of a kind of self-cultivation, so that one is able to be motivated by God's will and one's own true will under the grace of God. And individuation is basically the process of then having that come to fruition in the world over the course of your life. So there's time flowing forward and time flowing backward. That's kind of one polarity to consider here. But then another one is the oscillation, I guess, between the ideal and the real. Deleuze likes to say that the virtual and the actual. So like as a very artistic person, my experience of this is that there is I've always felt there was a kind of form that I had to give birth to, and it's really in this past year with the release of 93696 that I feel like that form actually exists in the world now. It's something that we can play, that other people know about, that people have heard and sort of recognized as also that that's the thing. There's it's unique to me in a way, but it's also something that once you're, especially when it's artistic, I think once you've gone a certain amount on the path, other people can kind of see what you're aiming at, to, or not you, you know, but like what is being aimed at through you. And like, you know, mostly I hear people talk about this record as though it's like, oh yeah, this actually sounds the way that you can tell the other ones were trying to sound, you know. You know, that's not a choice that I made, you know. That's not like you know, it's something that I kind of made myself available to serve and to suffer for, and I don't know why. You know, I was called, and you know, arguably, that's like everyone has something like that. I don't think it's has to necessarily be musical or artistic. It could, you know, it's like to achieve something, but it's singular, and it's predestined in a way. And I guess I kind of forgot to say this, that like there's an oscillation between, you know, the smooth and the striated, where like Nietzsche talks about it as like going up to the mountaintop and then going down, and sort of, he talks about it in more prophetic terms, where you sort of have a more private period where you're kind of like receiving these like rays of inspiration from God, and then you then interface with the world and actually kind of give it a body. And you know, Kabbalah is kind of all about this. There's an ebb and flow from the divine to the terrestrial, and I've typically experienced that as like a series of albums, where and tours and whatever, you know, where I sort of go as far as I can at a certain time, and then create it and release it, and then get feedback on it, and then that feedback will kind of inspire me in some way, and then I kind of receive that, and then I sort of go back up, where the colors of the rainbow sort of turn back into, you know, infinite divine white light, and then create something new. That, so there's this like series of sort of progressive unearthing of a sort of unique thing. And I feel like for me personally, it's still in a lot of ways only partly there. Like maybe the music is arrived at a place where it's rendered in a way, but in terms of integration with philosophy and drama and art, I barely begun to really achieve that. But so I mean, that's the basic idea of individuation, is that you know, that as a kind of socio-political ideal, that there's like there's an inalienable right to take inspiration from one's unconscious drive to create, and then to do that. Like that is the essence of being a human being, and that it's more important than almost anything. And I don't, you know, that's not really like all of the laws that I'm going to talk about, like in the current Overton window, you can talk about it and either make it sound, it just gets disqualified, either because if you say it in too simple of a way, it sounds like some kind of cringe self-help, and then if you say it in a more refined, abstract way, no one understands what you're saying. And you know, the theme of like the Freudian death drive in its sort of ontologized version in philosophy, or just the idea of the drive generally in German idealism, and in, something that you find in Schelling and Fichte and Schiller. In Hegel too, maybe in a way. It's like cultural ideology. It's like there are forces at play in society that want this idea to be kind of marginalized and either trivialized or obscured. And so sort of what I hope to do is kind of, I guess, explain it, not explain, I guess, but just give my perspective on it or my experience with it in a kind of straightforward but also kind of sophisticated way. So that's the law of individuation. I just made a video yesterday on the law of sovereignty, and I'll do hierarchy and emancipation soon.